So this three-day conference, Solidarity in Culture, shares dialogues on the heritage protection under the condition of crisis. It's one of the very important subjects for Croatia. As you recently hear from opening speeches and from Arna about earthquakes crisis near the Zagreb and Petrinja last year, then the flood crisis, but also unfortunately we do have experience in the past history with the crisis as a big earthquake near the Stone, where 14th century building heritage suffers significant damages, and it took us like decades to recover the damage. And also the biggest crisis where cultural heritage is not just damaged but also disappear forever was during the wartime in Croatia. So today, one of really important way of protecting and preserving and presenting cultural heritage is digitalization. The Ministry of Culture is implementing the project eCulture, digitalization of cultural heritage. So the project meant to increase access to cultural heritage in digital form and to establish one standardized and systematic approach for long-term preservation of cultural heritage by developing and some permanent record storage solution. So the establishment of the central system with the central repository of cultural heritage to give us some unique approach for using digital cultural heritage material for audience, for wider audience, for the citizens, scientists, students, businesses, and the community of cultural heritage institutions. And to also encourage the reuse of cultural heritage in other fields as science, education, and tourism. So the project is implemented by the Ministry of Culture, but in partnership with the Croatian National Archives, the Croatian Radio and Television, the Museum of Art and Crafts, and our host today, the National and University Library in Zagreb. So the important task for the project was to involve cultural heritage professionals, and not just in project activities, but in management. The partnership project are the leading institution in digitalization of cultural heritage in Croatia. And they are representing the different cultural heritage societies, like archives, audiovisual, libraries, and museums. The other institutions are involved in the project actively and other cultural heritage professionals. The total amount of the project is about 5 million euro, from which 85% is co-financed by the European Union from the European Regional and Development Fund and 15% by the state budget. Some of the main challenges what we find starting the project was first lack of centralized and searchable access to cultural heritage. There was a different local information system in which digital cultural heritage was stored with a totally different approach. A lack of unified methods of digitalization of cultural heritage, insufficient capacity for digitalization, a variety of standards and form, lack of some recommendation or framework or guidelines on a national level for digitalization of cultural heritage. Different application and different identifiers and low level of use of permanent identifiers, and variety of metadata standards and disconnections of digitized content with associated metadata. So the project has 5 main activities to reach the project goals and to give us the project result. Main activities is establishment of a central system for the permanent records, access, aggregation, search of cultural heritage material, and the development of eServices. Development of standards and models of management and functionality of the central repository. To reach one of the project goals and to build the capacity of cultural heritage institutions for digitalization of cultural heritage. The project is assuring equipment and the services for digitalization of cultural heritage for institutions. So based on the different community needs and different institutional needs, the project will ensure also the equipment like scanners or photographic studios, licenses, but also through the project will allow the institution to use the outsourced services of digitalization for digitalization as, for example, 3D digitalization of archaeology sites. Not just the Ministry of Culture and Media and the project partners, but also cultural heritage community is trying to reach this project goal and actively they're in the project. And the project goals are to ensure the secure storage of digital cultural content in one place, provide users with unique access to stored content through the establishment of an appropriate ICT system, increase access to cultural heritage in digital form, systematically protect cultural heritage with standardized and permanent digital storage in one place. After the project is done, we believe that digitalization of cultural heritage in Croatia will have the centralized system for permanent storage, access, aggregation, and search of cultural heritage material, develop eServices, standardized approach to the digitalization of cultural heritage, and strengthen the capacity of the cultural heritage community. So what are the basic process of the central eCulture system? These are digitalization, permanent record storage, digital preservation, and eServices. The main component of the central eCulture system is this central repository that will be located on the central government infrastructure, so-called shared service center. And it will be enable the access and searchability of cultural heritage through national portal, storage and use of digital and digital content of cultural institution in one place. One of the project outcome is also the e-services, and there are 3 major services offered by project. One is access and presentation of digital cultural heritage to the wider audience as citizens, scientists, students, businesses, and the cultural heritage community. Service of permanent storage of digital and digitized material in the central repository, intent for the cultural heritage community, and the monitoring service of digitalization projects. Every year, the Ministry of Culture and Media publishes a public call for the financing of public needs in culture of the Republic of Croatia, in the framework of which support to programs of cultural heritage digitalization is financed. All approved programs must send a report showing that the funds have been invested into digitalization of the collections or items, holdings, and that digital material are publicly available. And so in this way, we are connecting to applications and we are upgrading the existing service of public for digitalization and making more content available to citizens. So the central system is in final development phases, and it should be available and finish in May this year. So, on conclusion, I would like to mention the contribution of the project to the wider public. Its cultural heritage that will be systematically protected and preserved and presented by standardized and permanent record storage in a digital form at one place. The citizen will be able to access and search digital and digitized cultural heritage through central system for storing, accessing, aggregating, and searching cultural heritage material. The community of archives, libraries, museums, audio videos, and all cultural heritage community have its own digital system. Cultural heritage of Croatia will be available to the citizens of the European Union and wilder, and digital cultural material will be used for scientific, educational, touristic, promotional, and economic purposes. So thank you very much. And I would like to discuss this with you more. So this is my email, but I will also send you email in the chat. And thank you.